So on behalf of Trinity House, Soren and Ever, Chairwoman Kathy from the board, Chris Leggett, who's also here, and all the board members, and myself, we thank you again for coming. We believe that this is the kind of thing that is necessary in our community, in our country, in American Catholicism, and in Catholicism broadly speaking, are these types of events that increase and engage our intellect, increase and engage our exposure to the reality that the church needs to not just sustain itself, but to grow. And I love what you said about, growth versus managed decline. And you talked about the mission territory is the kitchen table. And I remember thinking at one point, if everybody took seriously just raising their own children in the faith, what a better place it would be. But the fact is we've gone far too long without that happening, that it's not merely enough to do so. That mission territory can't be merely our own kitchen table, and as a result, we have Trinity House. We have a community like Trinity House that allows us to have a kitchen table that is there for us to engage with the wider Leesburg culture and hopefully, God willing, down the road, expanding and more Trinity House cafes throughout the world that increase the front porch and the family room of Catholicism to engage the culture and to engage the world in coming back to Christ. And we do so through that kind of honest dialogue, through that kind of really just hospitality, through just offering somebody a smile, a cup of coffee, a place to sit down and rest. Trinity House is a big place in my heart from just a historical standpoint. When I went away to college, my family, I was a cradle Catholic, but as I put it to some, Catholicism was something we did and not something that we were. And when I got involved with Catholic campus ministry at JMU, I found myself going to the CCM house regularly throughout the week. And just the fact that it was called a house, like Trinity House, it was welcoming. It was someplace I wanted to go. It was someplace where I knew I would meet friendly faces. And when you're at college and on your own, that's a great place to be and to start to make those connections. And, the Holy Spirit finds ways to work with those sorts of things, right? When we open our doors and our hearts to people, then we start to see those things change in them. And throughout my 4 years at JMU, that grew into me, that indwelling of the Spirit from my baptism, my confirmation, flowered and bore fruit, such that, here I am today. Never thought I would be an ordained deacon. But I also remember 11 years ago finding out that Soren and Ever had bought this, or were renting this place at the corner of Church and Market, and he was looking for a couple guys from the men's group to come sand and clean and paint, and I think we built some busing stations with some hand tools and power tools. I see Andrew, he and I were lugging power tools, such as it were, into the yard, and just how great that idea of working as a community in order to build this thing up was. And now I know a lot of you here, I see you, I go in there on a regular, and I see faces like, oh, I've seen them in Trinity House, I've seen them there. My kids have worked at Trinity House. The first time I met with my pastor to tell him I was discerning the diaconate, we met for coffee at Trinity House. I studied for finals and oral exams for my comprehensives at Trinity House. Erin and I volunteered with the Trinity House community here at St. John's. And I'm not alone. Over 40,000 guests a year visit the cafe. 3 marriages have come out of couples who met at the cafe. It's a beautiful testament to that kind of hospitality and the love that people feel when they're there. And now, that shared front porch and that shared living room has the opportunity that Soren outlined earlier, right? This opportunity to make that Trinity House not just something that we're renting, but something we're owning. Something that not just Trinity House, but really the church and our Catholic community here in Leesburg is saying, this corner of Church and Market is ours, and we're establishing this foothold. And to dangerously paraphrase the gospel, hopefully the gates of hell will not prevail against it, right? Or at least the gates of the Leesburg ne'er-do-wells will not prevail against it, that we will remain entrenched within this community and start to build a foothold from there. And so with that in mind, as it has been put to you, we are inviting people to help join us in this opportunity to establish this permanent ministry. And there's a couple of reasons that we believe it's important. There's three straightforward reasons why we jumped into this campaign. First was the urgency of the moment. There was the opportunity from the generous landlord and owner of the building. Prices in Leesburg real estate is only going up, and that would affect rent increasing and increasing. And so finding a way to stabilize that and keep expenses solid and consistent for the cafe and the community is important to the long-term viability of this ministry. And so we're close to getting that down payment completed and ready and in the bank. And so we are looking for that help. Second is the mission alignment, right, that this has. Our mission is to inspire families to make home a taste of heaven, and the beautiful home-like environment of 101 East Market mirrors that and shows us gives us a whole expansion where now that whole second floor becomes more open towards additional spaces where we can meet with people and engage the public. And third and finally and most succinctly, it's a smart business decision for the community and for the cafe. And so Erin and I have stepped forward like nearly 200 other households have in order to get us to where we are and to get us to this point where we're prepared to enter into this agreement with the Knights. It's really exciting. Soren called me just the other day. He's like, "We got the Knights." It was, and I just, you just feel that happiness welling up inside you as that something we were casually discerning as a board 6 months ago has turned into a distinct reality. And so if you're open to joining this now or never campaign, we invite you to make a gift or a pledge this evening. And I know that's not why some of you came. You came to hear Mr. Weigel, and we understand that, and we thank you for coming because that really ultimately is the goal, is to spread the goal of our faith first and foremost. But if secondarily you see fit, we are fortunate tonight to have donors who have put forward $50,000 of matching funds for everything that we're able to raise tonight. So that's a tall order. I believe we're up to the task. And so we want to get to that down payment, but not just that. We want to do everything we can to make sure that what we're actually going to borrow is as small as possible, again, to ensure the viability of that ministry, to ensure the money that comes in for that ministry can go out to that ministry instead of going towards loans and other things like that. And so gifts of any amount, $250, $500, $1,000, $10,000. We've had people give at all of these levels, and all of those are important and helpful, useful, and necessary. You can even pledge that amount over 1, 2, or 3 years. We're open to that as well. But we do need that help, and we are asking us and all of us to look at the ways that we've been blessed. Some have been blessed with the ability to give more and some less, but no amount is unimportant. Just like the widow who gave from her need, right? Everything helps, everything goes towards building that mission. And so everything you need to give, whether online or here, there's information on the back table. And so we do invite you to pick that up, look at it. We thank you for considering a sacrificial gift or a pledge. And we hope to invite all of you again to perhaps a second, obviously Trinity House has been open now for nearly 11 years, but a sort of secondary ribbon cutting, right? Because there's nothing like the ribbon cutting when it's your own.